What's up? What's up?
What is walking?
So I don't have
Huh?
great lighting here. I'm not at home right now. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, because you invited me on, I was like, oh, what the heck?
Where
Yeah,
are you?
what's
Are you
up?
at a
What's
friend's
up?
place or something?
No, I'm at my sister's place. I'm in Kerala
Okay.
right now, not in
Okay.
Bangalore. So
Okay.
yeah,
So,
that's yeah.
okay. So, first of all, congratulations on 40,000 subscribers.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
I remember that
I can't.
I remember when you crossed 10,000 subscribers, we did a chat on Instagram like
Yeah, we
this.
did. We did.
So, the growth since then has been very fast.
Yeah, that's only because I've been focusing a lot more on YouTube. Anyway, let's talk about what are we talking about? I came on just
I
for
don't know if
fun.
there is a topic. Is there something you want to talk about?
No, nothing in particular. I think so. Since we're doing this after a long time, I think we can talk about some atheism topics, I guess. If
I
people
think
have questions,
I'll
yeah.
just tell people that you released a video today which was about Sadhguru's interview with Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
So soil and stuff, and also how he claimed that he had done experiments that summon aliens. And then Joe
that
Rogan
was
asked
so
him
funny.
about, is there video of this? And he said, yeah, there is very bad video of this. Why is there a bad video? Everything you do is high quality video, but the one time you got aliens to communicate with you is bad video.
No, it's very clear he didn't get
Yeah,
anything on video because nothing happened. But this is what he has to say to save face. So yeah, let him say it, and we'll sit here and make fun of it. So yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And I think the sad part is that nobody will question him on this because A, these are all like the people he is talking to are American. And there is a long tradition of Indian holy men going to the West and winning their hearts with their simplicity, Zen master kind of shit. So he'll go, he'll say this stuff, they'll swallow it, and his influence over here in India will increase. I think a lot of people in the West don't realize that they have this soft power advantage, like, and they can lend people credibility simply by standing around them. So
yeah,
that's what they use.
exactly. So that's why even my video, I specifically mentioned that this is aimed at people in the West because they do tend to be susceptible to this kind of bullshit. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is to give them a perspective to some more data to think about. I'm not asking them to think one way or the other. Ultimately, they're making their own decisions, but they shouldn't make uninformed decisions. So this is just more information. Yeah.
Somebody pointed out that he has collaborated with many Indian YouTubers also, and it's quite sad to see people who are otherwise funny and smart and progressive contribute to the credibility of people like this.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that if he goes to Beer Biceps will happily platform him. Beer Biceps has already platformed him,
Yeah.
but there are others like somebody pointed out Prajakta. I think what's her mostly sane. I think
Yeah.
they also have done it and stuff like that.
No, forget Indian YouTubers. There are podcasts like Logan Paul's podcast. I forgot the name. Do you know there's a YouTuber called Logan Paul? He's really big
Yes,
in the US. Yeah, lots of controversies too. But
the
lately he's
boxer.
yeah, you know about that the
Yeah, yeah,
Japanese
yeah.
forest.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he has a podcast lately, which has a lot of like really high profile guests, and he hosted Sadhguru I think last year, and yeah, so I didn't see that podcast really, but I remember nothing really happened, nothing of substance really happened, and yeah, even in this podcast, I watched the whole thing, dude. Oh my god, it was such a pain. I watched the entire Joe Rogan podcast fully. It was a 3 hour thing, and I probably spent like 5 hours watching and rewatching some parts to get material. And oh my god. But I really appreciate Joe. I said this in the video too. I appreciate Joe for being skeptical. He didn't take whatever Sadhguru was saying at face value. So, yeah.
If only he was skeptical everywhere.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because this is the same guy who platformed anti-vaxxer
Anti-vaxxer.
people.
Yeah.
I got an anti-vaxxer in my like he even joined the live stream yesterday. Like
Oh,
they were like have you done your research about the vaccinations? And I said, yeah, like as much research as a normal person can do, I have done, but I'm not going to talk about it. And they're like, why? So the moment so this happens a lot. Like they will read 4 articles online. They will talk to some people who believe what they believe, and they will form an opinion about something, and then they will suddenly dump all of it on you. And if you say something like, I don't know about any of this, they will instantly try to paint you as if you are not equipped and you have not done research and you don't know. My question is, if you have evidence to prove that all the doctors in the world are wrong and that the vaccines are a conspiracy by Bill Gates, then why are you not being published in mainstream news science papers, right? Why have you come to the YouTuber who has 1,000 subscribers to convince him of things? If you had evidence, you would go somewhere, right?
True. And also, see, it's the bias that drives people to start thinking this and saying this, all these things. People are not aware that they're biased. They think they're being objective when they see these things. But no, they're heavily biased. The problem is bias is such a thing that you're not aware that your bias is what's making you conclude all this and not objective thinking. So I'm actually thinking of making a video on bias, but the issue is when I make videos like those, I don't get views. So yeah, that biases me to making.
No, but I suppose you should like divide your content output into 2 categories. One, the videos you do want to make, like science,
I'm
etc.
kind of
Ones
doing
that
that.
get views.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing that. I don't know if you saw, I made one on alternative medicine recently. That is one of the things I want to make. And the Sadhguru video is a kind of thing that would get me views. So, yeah.
Also, I'll just point out people something else. But before that, Panic Cat has asked a question. Please recommend some atheist creators on social media.
So, yeah, I'll go first. Should I go first?
Yeah, sure.
So, there's obviously Vimoh and myself. And I personally don't specifically make content on atheism. I do it on pseudoscience. But since there's a huge overlap.
Same group. Yeah. Same group. I'm sure, like, I get questions about pseudoscience and Pranav gets questions about atheism, and we just pass it along to each other. So that happens.
So,
also, Dr. Abby Phillips has started his own channel today. In fact,
I was there in the first live stream when he launched the live chat. Yeah, I was there. So,
nice.
Yeah, I will also recommend. So, if you want Hindi content, there's a channel called Asta Mukti. Then I'm sure you know Haris Sultan, Pakistani. He has one more channel called Pakistani Mulhid. And who else? These are all Indian creators. There's obviously a lot of atheist creators from the West. I highly recommend channels like Rationality Rules. He does a lot of content on things like fallacies and all. I think that'll be that's something that audience in India really wants. So there's that.
Pranav Dongre has asked about that only. Who are Pranav's favorite atheist YouTube channels like Cosmic Skeptic or Rationality Rules?
Yeah, I like Cosmic Skeptic.
Cosmic Skeptic I love because he's like he talks about the things that I talk about. Like he talks about philosophy and all that. So he's my kind of stuff. And even Rationality Rules also does a lot of philosophy.
There's one more channel called Gene Skeptic, Genetically Modified Skeptic. He's also pretty good.
Okay, Pranav, answer this. What is bias? What is the truth? Okay. Isn't it based on the bubble that you do build up for yourself?
No. So I don't know what definition of truth you're using. There are people like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Just to make some arguments, he'll twist the definition of truth to suit his argument. I mean, to me at least, and I shouldn't be saying to me, it should be an objective definition of truth. Truth is, what you can observe and what is true, what is actually there in reality. not what you want there to be, not what you want, not what someone else says there is, or these things. And bias is, so how do I say?
I would
So,
say, like, before Pranav goes on, I'll just point out that if
yeah.
you and a second person disagree about whether something is true or not, I would determine that to be truth. That remains after I have removed both of you from the equation. If a third person comes and he looks at the thing and he comes to the same conclusion, then that is truth. Truth is that which does not depend on perception.
True, I agree. So, bias, right? So, imagine you walk into a room and the floor is kind of tilted. So, without really thinking about it, if you walk in the room, you end up going to one end of the room. So, because the floor is actually tilted and making you go that way. So, bias kind of works in the same way, only instead of physically moving to one side, your thoughts, your thinking, you end up concluding in one direction without realizing you're not being objective. So the conclusions you tend to make always go in the same direction, and the reason for that, that shift, that sliding in direction, is the bias. That can be, so for example, confirmation bias is you having a belief, and whatever you look at in the world, you look at in a way that confirms your belief. So let's say cherry picking is a thing you do when you have confirmation bias. So there are lots of biases like these. I'll need a lot more time to talk about all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them.
You can all, like, if you don't have time right now, then people can just go and Google logical fallacies and biases,
Yeah.
and you will find a good list of stuff. There is a question by Marwan Nizamuddin that says, are there different factions in atheism, like Catholics, Protestants in Christianity, Sunni and Shia in Islam? So my answer would be that they're not factions, they're philosophical positions. There is something called hard atheism where people claim that there are no gods. It's called Gnostic atheism. And then there are people like me who are agnostic atheists because we
And
don't
me
make
too.
any claims about exist. Yeah, Pranav also.
Me
Uh, we don't make any claims about the non-existence of God. We simply reject the claims that God does exist. So yeah, those would be it. And if I personally have a problem with edgy atheists who don't actually have any philosophical position, but their atheism is based on meme making. So that is a third category, I guess. I don't think that matters.
Yeah, I don't have a very detailed answer because I don't really delve into philosophy as much as Vimo does. So I don't have I'm not super aware of all the factions within atheism or whatever, or if there are factions at all.
Or if there are actually, that's a true
Yeah.
agnostic position.
Yeah. So, so I will say that I've read a lot of mainstream atheism literature, and I'm fairly well educated on. I feel very pompous when I'm saying this, but yeah, I understand where the beliefs come from and the base of those beliefs. So I just work on those things. I don't go too deep into all the philosophy that is based on. So my answer would be just the agnostic or gnostic atheism part that you already mentioned. So that's all I want to say.
There is another question. Is it not a question? Bharat the Charvak says, is atheism what India needs right now? I think that's a very vague question. Why does India need this? Why does India? First of all, why is there a category of India needs this? And if there is a category, are there not more important things than atheism right now? What do you think,
Uh,
Pranav?
Again, this is not something I have a lot, very. So Vimo also says this in a lot of talks. He would rather talk about power structures and rather than talking about atheism as something we need. We need something that takes power or supports people that are oppressed by this power. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it
that's
does.
what.
I think because at the end of the day, rationalism is not something you have to teach people. Everyone is kind of rational in most cases, except in one case where their emotions, their childhood religion, and all that comes into place. But power structures is something people genuinely don't understand. Like only today, I was quite heartbroken earlier today. There was this person who I have known for quite some time, and they were like LGBTQ people are, they're needlessly attacking men, and I'm like they're attacking patriarchy, and also even if they're occasionally attacking men, it's okay. Now you lose nothing. Men, there is something called patriarchy, which is a power structure position. There is nothing called LGBTQRky. They don't hold positions of power where they're making rules that make your life better or worse. This person is very happy when I criticize known power structures like Hindutva. But when their own privilege as a man, as a heterosexual man is questioned, they're like, "अरे, ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हो?" Nobody wants to acknowledge their own privilege. That is the problem. And I think that's a more important thing than atheism. Atheism, sure, is good, important, and everything, but we have more desperate needs right now also. Prabhi says, should a person fear isolation from society after choosing atheism as his or her way of living? Why?
Yeah,
Pranav, what do you think?
I think this is not as prevalent among Hindus and Christians as it is among Muslims, because I personally know people who've been kind of ostracized because they left their religion, and that's not something anyone should go through. I myself come from a kind of conservative family, and I am openly atheistic. But because I've done fairly well for myself in life, again, I'm not saying that with any amount of conceit. I'm just saying that as a matter of fact. But because of that, I'm not facing as much, as much harshness from my family. They kind of accept it, and atheism is kind of inconsequential and within Hindu societies and all. So yeah, I haven't faced much of it, but I know people who have, and yeah. Bimo?
Pranav, do you want to talk about a movie that you saw today? Because somebody has asked about it. Do you want to?
So,
They want to. If you don't want to, I'll totally accept it.
I mean, yeah, sure, I can talk about it, but I don't have all my thoughts collected, so I
Just
might
give us it's a
rant a
live
bit.
stream. It's okay. Just give a rough
Yeah.
impression of what you
So
felt.
yeah, I watched Kashmir Files today, and man, the amount of emotional manipulation in that movie is just. I mean, I knew it was gonna be some emotional manipulation, but when I went there, the very first scene is a guy beating up a 6-year-old kid. Three guys, three adults beating up a 6-year-old kid because he said such and such, and he cheered for Sachin Tendulkar. I mean, this is. I didn't have much to say. There was a lot of violence in the movie, and uh, so the movie was very clear. It wasn't like trying to be subtle or anything. It was trying to show one group of people as bad guys and one group of people as good guys, and
Yeah.
bad guys either based on religion or based on political leanings, whatever. So I, I can say for sure they were misrepresenting a lot of political positions to paint them as bad guys. And yeah, by the end of the movie, like anyone with brains will know this is just bullshit, but there are a lot of people watching it. And obviously, that means a lot of people without brains who will.
My personal most interesting experience about it is that somewhere in India, I don't exactly remember where, uh, people went to the cinema hall to watch Kashmir Files, but instead this new Akshay Kumar movie was playing, so they so
They
they
walk out.
vandalized everything. They vandalized everything. Akshay Kumar, bichara, he's made a movie and he's out, and now people went to the cinema hall and said, "We want to watch Kashmir Files, not Akshay Kumar's movie."
So sad. So because the movie is so emotionally manipulative, people who don't look at things objectively or rationally or whatever, they will easily be swayed by this movie
Yeah.
to
And
start
objectively speaking, like someone pointed out some days ago, like how will people learn? Beta, I am a history student and I know how history is supposed to be taught. If in the history class you get angry about something, then it's not a good classroom. If you want to learn objective history, learn it from history books. And if you're too impatient to read a book, go to News Laundry. There is a comic, there is a web comic called Kashmiri Ki Kahani. It's very funny and it's very objective. It covers all the issues, including things that you want to focus on, and read that. It's made by Sumit Kumar from Bakarmax. It's a great overall picture of the matter. So you can look at that. There is a question by Sagar Sabarwal that says, Pranav, great video on Jaggi today. He just could not impress him with his vague English statements.
Yeah, that only works in India. And thank you for. I missed the person's name. Sorry. Thanks a lot.
Even I forgot.
Yeah.
Even I forgot the name.
Sagar.
Ashutosh said, I personally feel that journalists should be atheist as they seek and speak truth. What are your views on this? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I would not, like as a general rule, I would never ever say that someone should be atheist because that's a very religious way of looking at things. I know journalists who are religious and are extremely critical of religious bigotry. It's possible to be religious and oppose religion. You don't have to be an atheist.
Yeah, true. I agree with you. I agree with that.
There is Panicker Cat says, does technology make you hopeful about the future? Pranav, what do you say?
So I would say yes, because I think a lot of physical limitations that we have will be overcome by tech that we're developing. But again, I'm not very well informed on this, but based on what I've seen, I think I can only see improvement. So in everything, we can get to places faster. We can communicate with people better. We can actually get ourselves better. I think there's technology coming up that will help us overcome physical limitations, any handicaps or any limitations of our thinking capacity or things. And then there's the space age coming. So all this makes me hopeful. What do you say? You had something about communism here, right?
No, yeah, communism though, that's a different thing. Like if I was truly going to answer this question using communism and socialism, I would totally be in favor of Star Trek. Because communists can be optimistic about the future. I'm not. I'm personally not. I think technology alone is not the solution because 300 years ago we had social issues, social problems. We have the same social problems now, and technology is enabling people to practice that social discrimination even more effectively. So I think, yeah, technology can change things for the good. Whether it will or not depends on people and their behaviors. And the solution has to be sociological. It has to be an awareness of privilege, greater focus on equality as far as governance is concerned and all that. If that doesn't happen, no matter how technologically forward we become, it won't. Have you seen a movie called, like it had Matt Damon and there was a space station where all the rich people had...
The Martian?
No. It's an Earth thing, far future. All the poor people are on Earth and there is radiation. The rich people are moved to a space station.
Elysium, I think.
Elysium, yes. Yeah. So that is the future I'm afraid of. That is my fear.
Yeah.
That is technology is there. Everything is possible. But if everyone does not have equal access to it, then it won't happen.
Yeah.
Like we have a digital divide, right? We have a serious digital divide in India. We are almost making our entire living digitally online. But there are so many people who don't have access to it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Star Trek is basically a utopian kind of future.
Communism. Star Trek is communism. Star Trek is basically communist socialist future.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess I've never looked at it from a sociological perspective, but yeah, I guess I'd agree.
Hmm. Sumima Sen says, "Hey, what are your views on marriage? Are you married? Why and why or why not? Do you think there really needs what? I don't. I think question got cut off in the middle, but I think Pranav got the answer, got the question, and he's going to answer first."
Don't put me in the. Yeah, I'm not married, and I don't have any plans of marriage as of now, but I'm not opposed to it, I guess. Um, yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Pranav, I think so. Pranav has been growing a beard because he does not want to get married. Some girl
Yeah,
came
yeah.
to me and said, "Look, you have beautiful hair." So he shaved his head in order to prevent himself from getting married and grew a beard. My personal answer is that I'm not married and I don't think I'm interested. However, I'm not completely opposed to it, and I don't think it's a necessary thing. I think in India, one of the things that happens is that marriage is a social obligation. However,
Yeah.
in many countries, you find that it is not. You can get married if you want to, but if you don't want to, you don't. So that's it. It should
Yeah.
not be. It should not be life and like your life is ruined if you did not get married and did not have children. There are many things you can do with your life. Marriage and having children is just one of those things. To those who want to do it, feel free to do it. Enjoy yourself if you can. But if you don't want to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Shahira
Beard
says
makes
beard
men
makes look men hot. Just an opinion. Okay, opinion noted. मैं कल से शेविंग करना बंद
noted.
कर रहा हूँ.
Yeah.
Agniman says, how do you think scientific thinking can be developed in masses of India?
I think what you mean is rational thinking, because I think scientific thinking is, I mean, I don't see a difference between that and rational thinking. So basically, you have to rely on evidence on what's actually true rather than what you think or what someone else says is true. So if someone says that something is, one way and not the other, then you have to be able to judge for yourself whether he's basing that, he can back that up with any form of evidence. So again, I'm being more complex than I should. So yeah, so basically rely on what is and not what someone says there is. So I think if you do this much, you will start thinking a lot more rationally. You'll start thinking a lot more scientifically. And what what I do, or I want people to go a little further than just thinking in this manner. I want people to develop a certain passion for science, but I guess that's another topic. That's something I try and do on my YouTube, but yeah.
Hmm. I think more people like Pranav need to come out and make science education, science communication a priority, and that's what will change things. There's a question by Bhavesh that is, what is your definition of
Yeah, that's a great question, Bhavesh. So, so the beauty of spirituality is that you can give it any definition you want, as long as it's something vaguely associated with soul, the notion of soul or whatever. But the thing about spirituality is it has no definition. So because of this vagueness, it's very easy to label something under this spirituality thing and use that to scam people. So yeah, Vimo.
I don't want to answer it. It's a question of answer. Like what Pranav said, I completely agree with that. There is no definition of spirituality. Even spiritual people don't have a definition of spirituality.
I mean, they have a very subjective, their own way of defining spirituality. But yeah, that
Yeah.
it'll usually have something to do with whatever they're trying to sell. So yeah.
This is a related question. How do you debate with a person who says they have experienced spiritual experiences with God?
So it's very hard. It's when you tell someone that their experience doesn't count, they'll start becoming very defensive. So don't I wouldn't say do that, but see, if experience is the only thing they have to back up whatever they're saying, then I mean, how can they experience it on your behalf? So what they've experienced, you cannot see or feel or experience to be true, right? So don't rely on experience for truth. Rely on like what you can observe. So yeah, I think I
My answer
ranted a bit.
is
Yeah.
my answer is no, that is a perfectly okay thing, because I think so if you're talking to someone who believes in God
Yeah.
and you at a point where they're saying I just have personal experience, then clearly it is at a place where you cannot proceed any further. Because what do you say to it? You cannot deny their experience, right? What you have to focus on instead is if they think experience is enough. You can ask
Yeah.
them, if someone came to you and said, I have experienced a God from another religion, will they accept it? They will probably not accept it because experience is not enough. Everyone knows that experience is not enough. Nobody accepts it as evidence. Then
Hmm.
you say, I am someone who has no position on it. You come, you're an honest person, right? You're an honest person, you are right. You have experienced God and it says true. But this other person who's coming and he's lying, he's trying to fool us, and he's saying that he has experienced something else. How do I tell the difference?
Yeah.
Right? There has to be something more than experience, some way of some kind of evidence, some way of justification, something more than just I know it in my heart. And then they will accept what you say because they will have to accept that you have no way of telling the difference. And at that point, I think you should end it because you can say, listen, I can't disprove your experience, similar as just as you can't experience disprove mine or someone else's. But I think we
Hmm.
can all agree that experience is not sufficient evidence, and
Yeah.
that's a good place to end it.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Good
Yeah.
response. Dude, by the
Uh,
way, I think
uh,
I'll have to leave right now. How long is
okay,
the
cool.
lecture? Yeah,
Uh,
I'll have to.
15 more minutes.
Cool. I think I'll leave right now, man. It's
Cool, cool, cool.
been, yeah, a great conversation, man. Whenever
Oh,
I
yeah,
join
absolutely.
you for a chat, it's always interesting. So,
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining.
yeah, I'll see you.